we shall continue the Zabriskie Point soundtrack with Unknown Song. Ah. Woo! A little
Woo!
jam there.
That was a fucking jamming. That's a jammy little song. That was.
Yeah. Your thoughts, Kellen?
I loved that. I loved that. Sort of beat and tempo of that with the fucking the guitar throughout
Mm.
that.
Especially the bass
And the
guitar.
first 2 minutes, yeah, the first 2 minutes like it was very, very like quiet esque. But then after the 2 minute mark, where it kicked up a little bit in gear, and I was like, oh yes, this is a little gem of a banger, I'd say.
Mm.
Yeah, I really like that one. It was a good head bopper.
Yeah,
Like, I was
definitely.
bopping my head a lot to that one.
Definitely a soundtrack as well. You can tell this is definitely setting a scene. It's not,
Yes,
you
yes.
know,
Like if this was, I would imagine. I know this is Pink Floyd, and I love to do their long songs, but this is everyone is like a 3 minute song extended for like a
mm,
soundtrack
mm,
for a
definitely.
establishment of scenes within a
Yep.
film. Yes, I like that. Like that a lot. I love the use of the drums, just a little simple beat they used. Yeah,
Yeah.
really
So
good
that
stuff.
that bass line and bits of this song, but mainly the bass line, it gets reused in a song from the album we're listening to, the main event of this video. Um,
Right.
and so you get that again, but you get it in a much more grand context outside of a soundtrack, which is really cool. But yeah, no, it's a bopping little track. Yeah, and I think it definitely feels consistent with the sort of country tone of Zabriskie Point that we've gotten so far. You know, the American
Mm.
countryside, like in Crumbling Land and Country Song. It definitely still fits, but it's got that eerie, psychedelic organ playing and strange sounds going on. But then that beat with that bass guitar is very groovy as well. Yeah, just very good music playing. I think nice, and it's interesting because it has a simple vibe to it, but the actual music playing is quite complex. That's what I like about it, is that they don't just rest on the fact that it's not meant to be a complex sound, and yet they still play it that way anyway, because
Mm.
they want it to sound dynamic. There's even those little bits that are almost verging on horror sounding when it takes over one of the left side. There's a couple of times when that happens.
It's a very good nighttime song in the sense that
Mm.
you could be like on a drive across, I don't know,
You know,
there's like a cliff
sorry to
thing near ours.
sorry to interrupt you, but you know what that instantly made me think of? You know that scene in Cars when they go to that town on Route 66 and there's like that street with the yellow light flashing. That's what I instantly
Yes.
thought of.
Yeah, like those long country roads and the little towns,
Mm.
villages you see.
Yeah.
It's very reminiscent, mainly because of the riff that kicks in and it allows you to basically carry with the flow of the song.
Mm.
And the balance with the acoustics is excellent. I think
Yeah.
it's using a 12 string guitar for this one,
I mean, the
and
song
you
that came
can
before
feel
this
it.
was very much a daytime song, so it's kind of contrast with that one, right?
Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, I love it. Very relaxing, very mellow, and whilst it's not like their um, uniqueness, it's the fact that they could take something ordinary and make it so compelling and enjoyable, which shows an aspect of Pink Floyd you don't really get to see.
Well, I think what I respect so much about their work on this soundtrack, as I say, somewhat the same for more, but I think even more so here, is that they put their own style to one side and they're doing everything for the film. You know, they're not
Exactly.
they're not trying to push their own band sound on the film. What they're doing is they're doing their job as the people running the soundtrack. They are like, what is the best sound we can make for this film? You know, and because of that, it sounds different to Pink Floyd albums, which means variety, but it also means that they are telling the story properly, and egos aren't getting in the
Exactly.
way of that.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement on that. And you can really tell
Mm,
this is a very Gilmore influenced song by how it's
100%.
very
Yeah.
harmonious.
I think Zabriskie Point as a whole is very, very Gilmore sounding. Um, Whereas I think More is definitely more in the Richard Wright end. It's got a lot of very trippy, psychedelic keyboard organ playing, whereas this one I think is definitely more guitar based, very Gilmore. I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk about this song, not gonna lie. I think you two are the first people I've ever heard talk about this song outside of myself. So,
Yeah, it's one of their forgotten ones.
yeah. But I think also because it gets overshadowed by the song that they use this bass line on, which is on the album we'll listen to later.
That was really good. That was quite the tune. When you see we're recording, you're gonna see my head bopping up and down. But that was really good. It's just such a vibe, and it's like 2 minutes into it, it just kind of really changes the tone a bit. Where it's like it starts with this pretty, I guess, mellow, like ambience music, but then it turns into like full on Pink Floyd, where it feels like more psychedelic in a way. I really appreciated that. Those really, really nice vibes. I think the first bit is kind of like the kind of music you'd hear like playing on Life is Strange. Not say, because I know Life is Strange is a bad connotation. I think the soundtrack of that game is really good. But I think the second part of it, after like 2 minutes in, I think it's the kind of song that you'd hear kind of like in Rango, especially. Because you have because you mentioned cars that reminded me of the scene of him crossing the road. That's the kind of vibe I get. Not as melancholic, obviously, but still in that sense. So yeah, I agree with Jeb. This was like the night. It is like that in a way.
I just googled Life is Strange on Google Images because I wasn't 100% sure what it was. That main character absolutely has your energy. Have to reminds. Just look. I'm like, oh yep. Now I know exactly why. You know what that is.
Look, man, that game was popular, and even though it's bad, I like it. Okay, it's fine.
Yeah, but anyway.
Oh man, but the bass in this was so fucking good. Jesus.
Well, luckily for you, it comes back.
Yeah, as you said, I'm exciting.
But yeah, there was a lot of melding of guitars here in this one.